Hi guys, welcome to another YouTube tutorial. Today I'll be taking you guys on how I edited these images from a recent project of mine called Palemoon. So this is a project I did recently in Lagos with the amazing Mosaic and very amazing talented stylists in Lagos State, Nigeria. So this image was what inspired my lighting setup for Palemoon. I like how soft the image looked, how soft it was. So the lighting here was, you could tell that it was coming from this direction, right? Feel the image. That's why you're seeing more of shadow here, right? I wanted to replicate something like this, but at the same time, I just wanted the both side to be more like evenly lit, so it looks like one light source wrapping around the whole subject, as you can see here. So what I needed to achieve that was to use a scrim or a very large fabric, to further diffuse the light and spread it evenly. I didn't have that, so I had to find a way to make it work. What I did was I made use of the studio wall, pointing to the direction of the right direction of this wall, this side, and it was just bouncing off the white wall and then coming back to fill the subject. So that way it was producing this very soft, airy lights, more like very soft and airy lights. So you see how the shadows are soft, right? You barely see any hard spots. That was what I was going for. So most times when you don't have the equipment you need, you just have to find a way to make it work. This is how it was straight out of the camera. So what I did was come here to styles and then applied my Palemoon preset. This one is for the light skin, while this one is for the melanin skin. So basically what the preset does is I crush down the highlight, open the shadows, and boosted the whites and opened the blacks a little bit. I also boosted the whites here, because by the time I crushed the highlight, the white was looking a little bit dull, so I had to bring it up a little bit and also boosted it here. Then I lifted up the shadows here, and that is how you could see that you could see the transition between the highlights and the shadows. Everything just has this pastel, flushed, washed out tone, this feel. And then when I took it to Photoshop, I now added contrast to the skin and the fabric for that. So what that did is to create the separation between the subject and the background. So let's go ahead and open these guys up in Photoshop. So first thing first, when I brought it to Photoshop, I had to straighten it. So if you remember, we had the subject to one side of the image and we want to crop by 4:5. So if we do crop it by 4:5, you see that the subject is not in the middle of the frame, she's one side of the frame. Unless I want to intentionally put the subject on this side of the grid, then I could leave it like this, then the image would be like this. But I felt like I was missing a lot. The drama of this dress, I like this whole area, but it was already missing out from here, and there's no way we can stretch it beyond that without having to cut the subjects, some part of the subject. So I sent that to Photoshop, and the first thing I did was to resize it by 4:5, and that left us with all of this empty space. So I used generative fill here to fill in these areas. So that way now we are having the subject directly in the center of the frame. That was what I was going for. So after that, the next thing I did was frequency separation. So let's zoom in. Here you could see. So for frequency separation, I just wanted to even the highlights and the shadows, so we could have a seamless transition between the highlights and the shadows. So I also cleaned up the fabric of the dress, remove a little bit of the crease, and yeah, so the next thing I did was add dodge and burn. I now did my dodge and burn. So for the dodge, I just wanted to add highlights in some important areas of the subject skin, and then for the burn I just added shadows and curves, which in turn adds contrast. Let me show you this. I don't know if you can see. Let's see. Off and on. Then for highlights, off and on, just a little bit of details. And then after that I went ahead to work on the eyes. So what I did was to just add a little bit of catch light to the eyes, so that way when you look at the image you are attracted to the eyes just captures you. So like I always tell most of my students, you need to light for the eyes. So because when the eyes is clearly visible, it helps you connect, the viewer connect more to the image. The image has life, right? So what I did was, the lighting I did actually was good for the eyes. I really like it, but I also wanted the eyes to have a little bit of color, so I did that. Then I added the eyeshadow. I enhanced the eyeshadow just a little bit, so that way from afar you could see the contrast it adds to the eyes. So off, on, off, on. Yeah, then I added a little bit gray. I used the gradient map to add contrast to the subject skin. So you see what I did was just picked the gradient from her skin tone, from the mid-tone, from the shadows all the way to the highlights. So that way, and then I applied that to just her skin. So you see, I applied that to just her skin. That way it separated, it helped create this contrast that separates the subjects from the backdrop. Then I added a little bit of blush, because I wanted her to have this red cheekbone. So as much as we have the whole colors as washed out in the same tone, I wanted one color that is just going to be different, that's just going to pop, but it's soft. I wanted it subtle at the same time. So I added the blusher. All right, so next thing I did was I added curves. So what the curves did was to add shine to the skin. So I used the curve to add a little bit of shine. Let's go close. So I boosted the middle, the white, and then changed it to soft light. So you see there's just this small shine that pops up from her skin. I don't know if you can see it. So it's these little details that stack up to make a great image. So most times people ask me how my image come out so good. It is in these little details that you stack up little by little. And then I now finally added hue and saturation. So there's this color play the makeup artist did on the model's eyes that I really like. So I wanted them to stand out. I wanted them to stand out, so I added a little bit of hue and saturation. So I boosted the overall colors that you find here from red to green. So I just boosted it a little bit, and then used the layer mask to apply it to just that area. So here I was trying to remove something I missed out in frequency separation. It was just this line, so I used that to remove it. And then the next thing I did was so the image was looking very flat, which is what I was going for, but I was fighting inside my mind, so I had to add curves. So what I did was I just brought down the blacks to about 8, which in return brought down the whole color tone and gave it this calmness. There's this calmness in the colors. The colors became richer, and then the image now has more contrast. Then I now finished that up with selective colors. So let me walk you through what I did in selective colors. So basically I just opened the red a little bit and played with the magenta and the yellows, took the red towards the yellow side a little bit, and also I played with the yellows as well, and I think I also played with the whites. Yeah, I just took the white a little bit to the blue side, and yeah, I think that was all I did. So basically I was just playing with contrast and tones. All right, so selective color is my favorite tool, one of my favorite tools in Photoshop. I mean, I don't think there's any time I retouch without opening selective colors. So but mostly I use it to correct tones from what I've edited in. I've already color balanced in Capture One, so I use Capture One to balance my colors and then use Photoshop to further refine them. So right, so after that, let's move to the next one. So this is how the image came from Capture One. We now cropped it by 4:5, which left this. Again, I use generative fill to fix this, and also use liquify to fix the dress. So you see all of this side, the edges were not so neat, so that's the help of liquify. I retouched and clean this whole area and make the dress look a little bit more clean. So for this particular image, I didn't just jump into frequency separation. So I actually retouched first using dodge and burn. So I just wanted to have that even look without removing much of the textures from this image. So I used dodge to even the shadow areas, and also basically used dodge and burn to first clean up the image a little bit, and after then I now moved into frequency separation. So you see, by the time I go to frequency separation, I was able to clean the skin without having to reduce the radius. So even with the frequency separation, you still see that we're still able to retain a lot of the textures from the subject skin. So the next thing I did was now do the global dodge and burn, which brought back shadows, see, into the image, and then see, I mostly worked on the face here. Then the next thing I did was hue and saturation again for the eyes, to bring back, put some saturation and colors to the eye, because I wanted that to stand and pop. I did that and then added the curves adjustment layer we used on the other image. So most times what I do is when I get it right here, I'll just copy everything here like this. Control C, copy it, and paste it here, and then modify it to the areas I want it to affect. But I already did that, so delete. So the next thing I did was to apply the curve, and just to crush the blacks a little bit, and also max use the gradient map to add contrast to the subject skin. And this is also more like a skin tone corrector to me, so I just have the whole skin tone mapped under one tone, if that makes sense. So moving forward, I added curve for that soft highlight glow on the model skin, if you can see. Then our blusher came back, so you see the pop on her face is giving that subtle pop on the model skin. And then I tie everything up with our selective color. The selective color is more like the last thing I do to like tie in, I use it to dial down the whole colors present in the image. So most times I go ahead to also add color balance, where I play with the midtone, but I already did this in Capture One, so I'll just leave it. But most times, so the last two things I do is selective color and color balance to tie in the tones. So let's talk about this image, because I really enjoyed the process of creating this very particular image. So let's turn everything off. Right, so this was how the image came in from Capture One, and by the time we did the 4:5 cropping aspect ratio, we had this white walls or these white blanks at the end. So the same thing, I filled those up and then also cleaned up the hair, because there were little things that were coming up from the I think this is like the gel that was used to style the hair. So I just cleaned that out and then removed some blemishes from the skin, and also cleaned up the neck. I wanted her neck to look a little bit longer. She has a very long neck that I really love, so I just used liquify to straighten it for it to have this sweet curve, and I like the way that came out. Then the next thing I did, I quickly went into frequency separation, so further clean up the hair and the skin of the subject. Again, my frequency separation is I try as much as possible not to be on the destructive side as much as possible. I just use frequency separation to just even out my skin tone. So after frequency separation, the same process, went to the dodge and burn. So first I dodged, so these are the areas I just dodged. So I like enhancing the features of the subject's body, right? So all of this, I want them defined. So basically that was what I used the dodge to do. I also added shadows back to the hair because it was looking a little bit too white for me. So the next thing I did was dodge. So I just used dodge to, let me show you if you could see. So basically, if you notice the nose area, there was this line there and this. So basically I used dodge to retouch and further blend the skin tone. The next thing I did was, so we had this eyebrow, is it eyelashes, eyelashes that was entering the subject's eye. It also, I could easily use clone stamp to take it off, but with generative fill it was more convenient, so I just marked the area and I just used this, marked the area, and then generative fill did the rest. So that was what we did here, and then I further cleaned it up. I created a new blank layer, used clone stamp, and then refined it, make it cleaner. The next thing I did was I added a hue and saturation. If you look closely, let's turn this off, you find out that this area is a little bit red, right? I don't know what happened, if it was deliberately done by the makeup artist or it was the color. So I saw that that place was a little bit red, so I toned down the reds from just that area, then use the clone stamp, the layer mask to mask it to affect just that area, and then I added our blush a little bit more. Then the next thing was I further went ahead to dodge and burn the image. So on this dodge and burn, I wanted to exaggerate the highlights and the shadows even more, so that was what I did here. So you see how strong this was, just and also the highlight. I just wanted to highlight the the important places of the face of the subject. So after the dodge and burn, I went ahead to play with the hair. I liked the way the hair looked from the front angle, but not so much of how it looked from this side of the one side of the subject of the model. So I had to play with generative fill again. It came to the rescue. So what I did was circle around that area, and then I went through various options it gave. I liked this, but it was looking a little bit distracting, more like it was taking your eyes to one side. And this too, this was also fine. At the end of the day, I came back to this and I loved how this went out and still came back a little bit in, so it just somehow brings a direction back to the image. I don't know, to me that's how I imagined it, right? So that's how I went with this, and then I tied it back with our magical selective color. So basically, let me walk you through it. I think what I didn't do much when it comes to this. I only just tried to darken the red a little bit and also darken the yellow a little bit. So what I was trying to do was just create contrast for her skin tone. I also added a little bit of shadows just to give that contrast to further boost and and make her the melanin tone pop more. And for the whites, I just cooled off the white, so it was too warm at this point, so I just cooled it off a little bit, which now helped to create this separation you see from the background to the subject skin. And that was all we had to do on this image. So let me show you another image that I actually enjoyed editing, which is this. So this is how the image came from Capture One, with the background showing and the dress here. So what I did was basically removing this. So that was the first thing I did. See how I removed that. So let me show you guys how I did that. So basically what I did was, you could pick the lasso tool, select, no, let's use the pen tool, yeah, sorry, I'm still learning how to use the pen tool, guys. So then make selection, feather tool, and pick the clone stamp tool. You pick, all I want to do is just sample around the area and stamp. So the trick is not to sample here and stamp here. You sample where it's closest to the area, so that way you're not going to drag colors from another place into that area you're trying to correct. So once that is done, Command D to deselect, and you see how that looks. So what I'll always want to do most times is liquefy. So once I'm doing that, you can see that it is not so straight. I'll just switch over to the liquefy tool and just arrange it like so. This is just to straighten it just a little bit. Then close it, and then that's all. But that was just to show you guys what I did. So for this, just delete it and then click on this. So I already did that. Next thing I did was dodge and burn. On her skin, I went a bit aggressive. So see, because I wanted to mostly retouch this image using micro dodge and burn. So I worked on it, and then also with the burn. Then the next thing I did here was create a blank layer and used the remove tool to just remove places I didn't want that were not looking nice. So I also used that to clean the nails a little bit. So if you could see around this area, you see, so I just used that. And when I was done, I created a stamp visible layer and did the frequency separation. So you see, the frequency separation was just to further blend the skin tones, but not to do too much. So let me zoom in so you can see. Yeah, so we still have the skin texture intact. And then I went further to clean up the eyes a little bit because it was looking too red, and I always like my eyes to stand out. So I cleaned up the eyes, and let's see what I think this was just a blank layer. I'll share. Then I used this to add colors to the eyes. So I just used this to add a little bit of colors to the eyes, and this to add highlights to the eyes as well. Then dodge and burn, more dodge and burn to further refine the skin. So this dodge and burn was just to add more contrast to the skin. So once I'm done with frequency separation, I always want to add contrast to the skin in terms of the highlights and the shadow. So that's what I used this to do. And then I added our blusher, and then generative fill to fill up the hair. Again, you could easily do this with clone stamp or copying this another area to fill in here, but I decided to rely on the help of generative fill. And then once that is done, next thing I did was create a blank layer and filled in the edges because I didn't like it looking like this. I wanted it to look clean. So let me quickly show you what I did. So what I did was pick our pen tool here, and then okay, so yeah, so this is basically make selection, make a feather to 4, pick up your clone stamp tool. So what you want to do is just pick and ensure you have sample set to current and below. So you pick, and this just pick here and send down, pick here and send down, pick here and send down. And when you're done, Ctrl D, right? So what you want to do is, what I did was just reduce the opacity, added a layer mask, and just brush off the edges just a little bit so it doesn't look so obvious and sharp. So basically that was what I did, and then just delete this one. That was what I did here, and added our selective colors again to tie back the whole color. So when I was done, the image was looking a little bit dark for me, so I added levels to brighten up the entire tone of the image. So let me show you again. Levels. So what I did was I just shifted the highlights in a little bit, and then added 2 to the shadows, which in return helped to create this contrast, this bright but at the same time contrast image. So the same thing I applied on this same image, right? So I used the same blank layer with the pen tool with the clone stamp to create the edges of this hair, and using generative fill to also fill this side. So basically that's all I did for these images. The process stays the same. The only adjustment was the color tones and the preset I used in Capture One. So let me know if you have any questions, or there are any image you want me to break down the editing process, and I will do that. And if you want me to make any particular specific tutorial, please let me know in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. This will encourage me to do more videos and help us grow and create a community where we can both share knowledge of what we know with each other. So see you all on the next video. Peace.